I recognize Ranking Member Cantwell for an additional motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that S 4199, the Youth AI Privacy Act as amended by the Markey substitute as modified, Bud 1, Lummus 1, and Lummus 2 be favorably reported.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? I'm going to offer Cruz 1 as modified. This amendment is straightforward. It would empower parents to make decisions for their children. Although I appreciate Senator Markey's work to improve this bill, one significant problem remains. The bill imposes a one-size-fits-all limit on how long a chatbot may remember its interactions with a child, capping overall memory retention at 30 days. A default period for memory retention makes sense, but parents must also be able to choose a different period or opt out of automatic deletion. Long-term memory can make these tools more useful in certain circumstances. For example, when a child is learning a language or a teenager is managing a small business. At the very least, the federal government should not forcibly substitute its judgment for that of parents. My amendment preserves both the default and parental choice, and I urge my colleagues to support it.
Mr. Chairman?
Senator Markey.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I just want to thank you and Ranking Member Cantwell for your work to help to protect kids online and for your support for advancing my Youth AI Privacy Act, the YAP Act, and I can't thank you enough. And to all of the family members who are here, we're just so sorry for your loss, just absolutely terrible. And that's why we're meeting today for you. And I appreciate the chairman's work with me, but on this amendment, I do oppose it. The Youth AI Privacy Act, as originally introduced, directed the Federal Trade Commission to establish limits on how long an AI chatbot could use a minor's personal data to shape its responses. Those limits prevent a chatbot from endlessly drawing on a child's responses to personalize future conversations. Extended, highly personalized interactions can deepen a child's emotional attachment to a chatbot and make safety safeguards less effective. As part of our substitute amendment, I agreed to remove the Federal Trade Commission rulemaking and allow a parent through verifiable parental consent to extend the memory period up to 30 days. This amendment would remove that 30-day ceiling. The amendment would permit the ongoing use of a minor's personal disclosures about relationships and fears and health, emotional state, and vulnerabilities to shape future responses without a meaningful outer limit. The companies will have every incentive to push families towards the longest possible setting by marketing it as more convenient, more personalized, or necessary for the chatbot to truly know the child. The 30-day limit is a reasonable guardrail against effectively having a permanent memory for minors. I urge a no vote, but I say that, saying that I would also be open to a continuing discussion with the chairman on this issue. But for this moment, I would urge a no vote.
Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just speaking in support of Senator Markey's position, the longer kids interact with a chatbot, the more data the chatbot can collect, the more manipulative the chatbot can become. And I understand that 30 days may not necessarily been the perfect day, but allowing unlimited chatbot memory is too dangerous. And so I support Senator Markey. I want to say that the parents groups also support Senator Markey in opposing Senator Cruz's amendment.
Thank you, and I think that point is generally correct, but I also think that parents know their kids best and ought to be able to make decisions for their own children as appropriate for their kids. If there's no further discussion, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Thune?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Wicker? Aye. Mrs. Fisher? Mr. Moran?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Sullivan? Mrs. Blackburn? Mr. Young? Mr. Budd? Mr. Schmidt?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Curtis? Mr. Marino?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Sheehy? Mrs. Capito? Ms. Lemus? Ms. Cantwell?
No.
Ms. Klobuchar?
No by proxy.
Mr. Schatz? No. Mr. Markey?
No.
Mr. Peters?
No.
Ms. Baldwin?
No.
Ms. Duckworth?
No.
Ms. Rosen? No. Mr. Lujan? Mr. Hickenlooper?
No by proxy.
Mr. Fetterman?
No by proxy.
Mr. Kim?
No by proxy.
Ms. Blunt Rochester? Mr. Cruz?
Aye.
The ayes are 15, the noes are 13.
The amendment is agreed to. If there's no further discussion, the question is on Senator Cantwell's motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is agreed to, and the bill is ordered to be reported favorably. I recognize Ranking Member Cantwell for an additional motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that S4407, the Chatbot Act, as amended by the Cruz, Schatz, Curtis substitute, as modified, Kim 1 as modified, and Kim 2 as modified, and S5171, the Children's Artificial Intelligence Toy Safety Act of 2026, as amended by the Duckworth substitute, as modified, be favorably reported.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is agreed to, and the bills are ordered to be reported favorably. I ask for unanimous consent that staff are authorized to make technical and conforming changes. Without objection, so ordered. Are there members wishing to make remarks on agenda items?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am really pleased. We have moved the Kids Online Safety Act today, and I'm so pleased that we have so many of the parent advocates that are here with us today. And you mentioned how they have turned their grief into action, and Senator Blumenthal and I are really grateful for the amount of time they have spent with us. This has been a years-long process, and I know it gets frustrating sometime. And as we have worked to find the best way to bring this bill forward. Now, many of you have mentioned it went through the Senate last year 91-3, and we are grateful that it is moving forward again. I think one of the important things that we're seeing today is we're sending a message to big tech that the era of big tech profiting off of our children is over. And Congress is moving forward to make certain that they have to accept responsibility for the foreseeable harms that their products cause. And some of these companies have come to the table to work with us and to move COSA forward, and some are continuing